Hey, Magic fans, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Captain Clyde's MTG. Today, I was a little bored and I started thinking to myself, you know what? We talked about all these cards in landfills, and we even got a couple links about, the Lord of the Rings set's been starting to get spoiled. But what about Commander Masters? People have like almost all but stopped talking about it, other than the fact that we know that it's coming out. So I was thinking, what would I expect to see in Commander Masters? Or what do I think they'll reprint into Commander Masters, not only to make it a good set, to help sell it, and what cards should be in the set, in my opinion, to help those guys who are playing Commander have access to the cards that they need. So, with that said, don't forget to subscribe. We're going to go through some of my top picks of what I think should be in Commander Masters. So, here we go, guys. Try to get to 1,000 peeps. Don't get to subscribe. The first thing that should be in Commander Masters is, yes, we know it's already in there. However, this is the Jeweled Lotus, which is the Commander staple. So, clearly we know it's in there. We know it's going to be in there, and it should be in there. Surprised it took them this long to reprint it, especially with a price tag of $139. Ooh, boy. So, we have that. Next one I'm calling, yes, we know, Zacama. We've seen on the collector packs the three-headed dinosaur. I'm calling that Zacama's going to be in there. Again, it's Commander. Zacama's Commander. Zacama's all about Commander. And the ability to come into play, untap all your lands, the shenanigans are crazy. So I do expect to see this, and I think we know it's really going to be in there. Moving on, next we have cards like, I think it's time to reprint Mana Drain again. They kept it out of the last set. They did put it in Double Masters. But with a $42 price tag on newer copies, I still think there's room to bring the price tag on this down. And I don't think that they're going to leave this out of another Commander set, especially Commander Masters. That would just be a travesty. Next, we have Cyclonic Rift, Commander, Staple, and All-Star. So this card is still buffing around $38. Several reprints has really drove the price down. It was extremely expensive, but it is starting to get back up there again, either by cards drying up on the market or people just not getting rid of them, whatever the case may be. This card is still pretty pricey, and as return all permanents to their owner's hand. Overload. Commander All-Star. I remember this thing was $1 back in the day. God, that tell you how old I am? Back in Ravnica? Anyway. So, I think it's definitely time we put this back in the mix. And as being a Commander staple card, I don't see how they don't put this in. I think other card we might see, Dockside Extortionist. Yeah, this card did just get a reprint, but it's only its first reprint. We've been asking for a reprint of this card forever. We finally got it in Double Masters. However, being an expensive set, card didn't get a whole lot of, let's say, flushed with the market. Plus, it's already a good mythic to put in there. And at $70, $65, this card is still pretty pricey with plenty of room to come down to make it affordable for people to play. So I think this will be an easy mythic for them to include in Commander Masters. Another card I think they're going to put in, yep, you know it, Rhystic Study. Now, this card has been reprinted once or twice. It's had a secret layer. It's in a Jumpstart set. But that's really about it. It's been on the list a few times. This card is still $50. For a card that's a common, I think, in its original printing, this price tag is absurd. So, yeah, this card is definitely due for a reprint. And if you're going to play Commander, Rhystic Study, do you pay the one, is something people hate to hear, but is a meme of the game. And I don't know how you can have Commander Masters without having a Rhystic Study in it. Next, we have Demonic Tutor, an oldie but a goodie. Been reprinted several times, but a easy rare to reprint, and this thing's still sporting around $50. the price on this does need to come down to make it more accessible for a lot of people. And I think there's plenty of room for that and plenty of room for more of these on the market. So, Demonic Tutor, I think you're up, buddy. Next, we have Smothering Titties, Tithe, Tease, to, yep. Demonetize this one. Oh, well, who cares? Again, this is much like Rhystic Study. This has become a mainstay in Commander. Been reprinted several times. Still sporting $25. It's not even that old of a card. And it's been reprinted several times. But I don't see how this doesn't become just one of those rares that eventually gets printed into oblivion until it gets to the point where it becomes a $5 or $10 rare. So I easily see this being targeted as a rare reprint for Commander Masters. Jeska's Will. So this has only had one printing. It was in a very unpopular set, which was not Baldur's Gate, but the Dungeons and Dragons timeline. So this card is though $24. It's found a lot of homes in a lot of different places. It has a lot of play. I think a reprint into a proper set where the set will sell well will give this card not only some new life, but take the price down to where it needs to be, because $23 is really kind of high for this rare. But then again, it's only because the set that it came in, people just didn't want it. So, I mean, it is what it is. It would be cheaper if people actually bought that set. So I think this is their chance to get a second go around at it and put a good card out there to make it a little more affordable for everybody. Next we have Fierce Guardianship. So if you didn't get a chance to buy the Commander decks that these bad boys came in, boy did you miss out. This thing is $75, and most of the Guardianship cards, rest in peace, green one, I think need a reprint because their prices are insanely high and they're insanely good. This one, for example, if you control your commander, you cast this card without playing its spell, it's a free counter spell. And if it's not free, 3 mana is not terrible. It's one more than a normal negate, which is what this basically is. And $75 is really insane for this card. It's way too high. So I think they'll target this as a sweet rare, or maybe even upgrade it to a mythic. Moving on, as I mentioned, there's Deflecting Swat, also a good one from the same sets. If you have your commander, no mana cost to pay, you can redirect targets. This again, also $70. Needs a reprint. It's highly played in Commander, and it's only had one printing, so I would expect to see this also in Commander Masters. And then finally, Deadly Rollick. Again, same set cycle. Pay without casting cost. If you have your commander out, exile target creature, one of the better ones. This one's $50. Not as versatile as the other ones, but still an amazing one. And again, if you didn't get in on these commander decks, you weren't getting these cards. So I think this little series here is probably one of the best ones they need to reprint into Commander Masters. I think, honestly, we're probably going to see the entire series, including the green one, unfortunately. But it is a series I think that should be in there, because these kind of cards are really unique to Commander and Commander only, and it doesn't make any sense not to have them in the Master set. So, next, Mana Crypt. That's right, I haven't seen this bad boy for a while. I think it's time for a reprint. Also, this thing is still over $200 for some of the newest copies, which is insane. Last reprint was Double Masters. The Commander Masters will be the Master set of this year, probably. So I don't see why they won't reprint Mana Crypt in it, especially with it being Commander focused, where this card really shines. Plus, more copies of this for Legacy and stuff like that, it's not a bad thing either, because this thing at $200 could use a few more printings. Next, that's right, Moromorph the Boundless. So this thing picked up a lot of traction here lately from Modern Horizons 1. As a commander, notice you can play any color with it, but it's colorless because it has this inside of it. $27, $28, $30 for a mythic. It's not really high, but people like this card, and I don't see why it's not something that would end up in Commander Masters, since as a changeling, it's pretty much everything. Next we have Anointed Procession. So this thing was the sleeper of of the Amonkhet era, and at $45, it is definitely up for reprint. It's been on the list a couple times. That doesn't fix the necessity for this card on the market. And a $45 rare like this from not that old of a set, I would not doubt that this doesn't get to see Commander Masters play. Chrome Mox, $90. It's not the best thing in the world. It was in Double Masters. I expect it to be in Commander Masters. Even though it's not highly played in Commander, it's still expensive, and it'd be the best time to get those reprints out to put a little value in the set. Next, Parallel Lives. This card hasn't seen a reprint in quite some time. It's highly played in Commander, and at $60, I think it's prime as a rare or upgrade to a mythic to see a reprinting in Commander's Masters. Next, Mana Vault. It's been reprinted several times. I could easily see them put this back in Commander Masters. Everybody loves it in Commander. It is a mainstay. It is still over $40, which is really high for as many times this has been reprinted. So much like Tarmogoyf, I have a feeling they're going to wear this one out. Next, we have Land Tax. This card is still $40 after the several reprintings it's had. Good play in Commander. Probably about 50-50. If you're playing white, you're playing this. But at the end of the day, I think it's just a good time to reprint it. It wasn't the last Master set. I don't see why it won't be in the next one. Next, we have Doubling Season. So this is seen a reprinting in Double Masters, but this card is back up to $100 again, making it prime for a reprint because of the cost, and to help prop up the value of the set and get people to buy the Commander Masters. Plus, this is a Commander staple that everybody wants. Why wouldn't you put it in a Master set? And my personal pick, that's right, the Great Henge. This card really came out of nowhere, and after it rotated out of Standard, people thought this card would drop in price. This thing is still sporting a $70 price tag, which is insane for a card that's not that old. So I think this is highly primed for this to actually get a reprint in a set as a real card, not just the list. So, with that said, guys, that's my thoughts on Commander Masters and cards that we might see in there. What do you think? Tell me down below in the comments section. What would you like to see get reprinted? And as always, I hope till next time you be kind. And hope to see you across from the game table with my Great Henge. Ba-dum-bum.